We've made you guys wait long enough. This should be another, I think, interesting discussion. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the comments as we're going along, so definitely share your thoughts. According to John Heyman, Kenley Jansen might be available at the trade deadline, and the Dodgers and Padres, quote, like him. There's still plenty of time between now and the deadline at the end of July. The Red Sox have improved of late, and they're back in the wild card picture, which isn't hard to do considering half the league can make the postseason now.
So
Anthony, if the Red Sox do end up selling and Kenley becomes available, should the Dodgers pursue a reunion? And as you're answering this, I'm going to throw up some reaction that we're getting.
yeah. You want to read his numbers off real fast?
I don't have them. I know that he has, 15 saves and 16 opportunities. ERA is around 3 something. FIP was down to like 2.3. I'd have to look at his savant stuff. I'm not.
Yeah.
His walk rate is up a little bit.
I know he started the year like looking kind of like Kenley of old, but I think he's probably fell off since then a bit. Look, I'm okay with bringing Kenley back for like nothing, kind of deal. I'm not okay with going after him if it means giving up something of value in terms of either prospects or, anybody from the major league roster or who's helping us now. I don't think they go that way. I would love if he could come back at some point and be with the team when they win a World Series, a non-COVID World Series. I think that would be really cool to see him in uniform, for that kind of situation. But like to go and give up anything of real value for him, he's not the answer that they need in the bullpen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, for me, it does very much come down to what does the cost end up being for something like this. Let me see. So I pulled up some of his stats. So, 2.30 ERA, 15 saves, 1.06 whip. Let me get into some of his StatCast data. So he's expected ERA 76 percentile, average exit velocity 37th, chase just 6, whiff rate 51, strikeout rate 89, hard hit 66. So a little bit of, like you said, a little bit of a mixed bag with Kenley. What makes this interesting is the group of relief pitchers currently on the injured list, either 15-day or 60-day: Ryan Brazier, Connor Brogdon, Brusdar Graterol, Michael Grove, Joe Kelly, and I'm going to include Dustin May in that group just because I think if he does come back this season, it would be in the bullpen. So on one hand, the Dodgers bullpen without a lot of their expected key guys has done very well this season. Credit to the group that they've put together. Like we mentioned, Yohan Ramirez, Anthony Banda has pitched well. Daniel Hudson, I know, gave up the home run tonight. I know Blake Treinen gave up the walk-off tonight, but they have had strong seasons for the most part. Evan Phillips obviously has emerged as a more than viable closer. So what I sort of wonder is from a roster fit, and I know this kind of relates to the conversation we were having earlier, is you can't count your chickens before they hatch, especially on the pitching side. But part of me wonders, like, can they even fit him on the active roster, much less do you need somebody like that?
Yeah. And I don't know where the fit is. The bullpen's not an area of like deep concern right now, but I do think they need to address it. Like, do guys like Ramirez and Banda hold up for the entire season, and can you trust them in the playoffs, all that kind of thing? But I think that question stands for Kenley also. And so I think if they're going to go make a move for a reliever, it has to be somebody elite, and somebody who is like a no-brainer. Like, yep, that's the guy. And so, as much as I think we all love Kenley and would love to see him succeed again at Dodger Stadium, he's not that dude right now.
Yeah, and if you were wondering about his contract status, it was a 2-year, $32 million deal. He's due to be a free agent after this season, so it pretty much would be kind of a return maybe for a last kind of hurrah with the Dodgers. this isn't the first time the Dodgers have been linked to Kenley this year. Back in spring training, it came out that they were discussing before Manuel Margot got traded to the Twins that the Dodgers and Red Sox were engaged in some talks, which if anybody remembers from our interview with David Vassay back in spring training, I sort of asked him about that possibility because before that was out, I don't want to give myself a pat on the back, but I was kind of reading some tea leaves, if you will, and I felt like there was continued reports about the Dodgers being interested in Kike, and I'm looking at the roster thinking the only way Kike can come back is if you move Margot. Kenley was available. The Dodgers were being linked to Kenley, and so to me, it made sense. Like send Margot to the Red Sox, get Kenley, then re-sign Kike. Obviously, they ended up going in a different direction with Margot. Kike is back anyway, and so now I think that there are enough legs to the Jansen stuff that it is, I think, a possibility the Dodgers are certainly open to. The biggest question would probably be, and you sort of touched on it, is if they move forward with this trade, does it mean that Kenley again is the unquestioned closer? Because I know that was a little bit, especially with fans, and I did see some of the comments as we were discussing this, that, Kenley basically needed to be the closer, and he wasn't pitching to the level where that was a role that he maybe deserved, no questions asked.
Yeah. He's been stubborn about that. Who knows if he would lighten up on it if the Dodgers came calling. But this team's trying to win a World Series, and if people are looking to bring him, and I don't think this front office operates this way, but if anybody's looking to bring him back because he's an old Dodger and nostalgia and all that stuff, that's not it. And the Dodgers may be looking a little down the road and saying, that guy you're asking about, that's going to be Dustin May, we think. And there's that possibility as well. So like, again, it has to be a clear-cut bullpen type blockbuster, I think, for it to make sense for this roster right now. And that guy's not Kenley.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I don't know. The Dodgers do certainly need multiple areas of their roster need to get addressed, I think, at the trade deadline. I'm not convinced that the bullpen has to be one. I think if Brusdar Graterol can come back and, pitch somewhat to the level that you sort of expect, if Michael Grove is back, if Joe Kelly's back, if one or two of those three come back and are productive for you, I think you can end up piecing things together. Another thing too is if you end up with a surplus of starting pitchers, you could potentially kick one of those guys into the bullpen as well.
Yeah.
But of course, like we mentioned earlier, with some of the injuries that they have going on, like that's not necessarily a safe bet. So yeah, that's where things stand with Kenley. We're about a month away from the trade deadline again. It's July 30th, and the Dodgers, and hey, maybe he doesn't end up with the Dodgers, but he's down in San Diego, and that will certainly make things interesting just when they're playing each other. Not that the Padres are necessarily, I guess I should catch myself because, like I mentioned, the wild card makes it so that almost any team with a pulse can get into the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.